nothing like starting the show with a little weather forecast, There you go.
Okay.
Nash Osborne. It's a pleasure to have you in today, sir. I don't often see you with glasses.
Yeah, I have to have those if I'm going to read anything. So,
okay.
You don't,
I hear you.
It's just comes with age, I think.
Yeah. I'm so sorry. I meant to bring this up before, but, I think this is just showing a little honesty. If you could have your microphone a little bit closer.
Oh, sure.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I try to make that like a rule with everybody. I'm like, mentioned that before, but sometimes it slips by me and I'm like, caught with my pants down.
That's all right.
But Nash, I think a lot of people know probably who you are, I would imagine. But like for the people who don't, would you mind giving kind of like a brief introduction?
Sure.
Okay.
I was born and raised in Farmville. I grew up here. I went to Prince Edward. I graduated from Prince Edward High School in 1995. Showing my age.
It was a good year.
Yeah, it was a good year. And then I went off all over the place and went to school a little bit at Hampton City, went to school a little bit at Longwood, a little bit at Virginia Tech, here and there. So, and then moved up to DC afterwards. Was there for a little over 5 years. Mm-hmm. Came back here for a little bit, and then moved to New York for a little while. Was up there, and then came back here. Yeah. So I've been, kind of moved all over the place.
Did you have like obligations in New York and DC, or was it just kind of get out and experience?
I moved to DC to work.
Mm-hmm.
My roommate was a staff member for Virgil Good's office during that time in DC, and so I kind of moved up there.
Nice.
When he moved up there, and then ended up working for a couple of different jobs there, and was in technical recruiting for a while, working for a company called Lucent Technologies, which is now no longer, but.
Well, what did they do there at Lucid?
Lucent was they were a telecom company. Okay. I think they got absorbed by AT&T, to be honest with you. I can't remember the
Who didn't get absorbed by AT&T at this point?
By the mergers and all the acquisitions and stuff that happened. That was a cool job. We got to travel a lot. I got to go to India for 3 weeks, and that was really cool. So we got to travel all around and go. We did a lot of work, but we did.
Did you get to meet the Maharishi?
No, we did. We did get to go to like Taj Mahal and do some really cool stuff. So that was fun. But yeah, so then after that, as I was working at Lucent, 9/11 happened. Actually, I lived in DC up on Connecticut Avenue during 9/11, so that was a pretty surreal experience unto itself. And then we got laid off right after that, from as many people did during that time. And I kind of just went back into the restaurant business. I'd already been working in the restaurant business. I started working here actually at Macadoo's
no way.
when I was 17.
That's amazing.
So I worked there for 2 summers, I think, as my memory sometimes lets me down. But so it was I worked there 2 summers, and then worked there a little bit while I was in Blacksburg, and worked at some other restaurant jobs while I was there.
Sure.
And then, so like I said, went back into the restaurant industry in Washington. Worked for some really cool companies up there, and kind of worked my way up through kind of bar management, and then into event management. Did a bunch of event management for a couple different places up there. So that's kind of how I got into the like the management side of the restaurant business, and kind of got to see the other aspects of how things move and shake.
If you don't mind me asking, when you worked at Macadoo's, what was your position? Were you like a grill cook, dishwasher, server?
I literally started washing dishes. Sort of. I don't, like I said, it's hard for me to remember specifically, but I'm pretty sure that I started washing dishes because I don't think I could wait tables when I was 17. I turned 18 like pretty quickly after I got hired there. So my earliest like real memories there was waiting tables. I mean, I waited tables there for like I said, I think it was 2 summers. So
yeah. Wow. So you have this a lot of vast experience, I would say, from like, moving to different places, experiencing a lot of different things, sales, a little like restaurant work. And so you came back to Farmville.
Yeah.
And then what was in your head, if you don't mind me asking?
I don't, that it's
because like I have a passion for restaurants personally, because at a very young age, my father has a deep fond. He worked at a restaurant in New Jersey when he was in his like teenagers. It was a sub shop, and ever since that, it planted a seed inside of him to like work in a restaurant again. So he actually tried opening up one. It was called Rizaldi's in Farmville, actually where the old drive-in the new drive-in Starbucks is. Yeah. And I was actually working at like 8, being a dishwasher too. So we had the same kind of position, but I
threaten my kids all the time that they're gonna come there and wash dishes. But
exactly, it kind of is a nice experience.
Kind of a different era now. They're not quite as interested.
They're really cracking down on the child labor laws, and that kind of is problematic. So you got the bug a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it happens. I tell people all the time. I think it's important for people to at some point in their lives to work in the service industry.
Absolutely.
In some aspects, whether it's restaurant or any kind of hospitality or just anywhere where you're serving the public and having to have, direct contact.
And the funny thing is you can tell who people who didn't work in those industries. Like
absolutely.
Spot them in a crowd.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. No, it really does teach you a lot of, it teaches you how to think on the fly. It teaches you how to, some of it. I mean, the thing that I gathered from it, I was always a pretty like detail-oriented kid. In some respects, I didn't like school.
Sure.
I did okay in school.
Yeah.
It was boring to me as it was. Like I didn't have I wasn't a scholar.
Yeah.
But my mom being a professor at Longwood, it was hard for me not to, sort of follow and because I'd been surrounded by that as well.
Yeah.
My dad taught a little bit. He taught building trades at Prince Edward Academy at the time, and he did a bunch of different sales jobs. But he also had a cabinet shop, a custom cabinet business here in Farmville for a long time, and I learned a tremendous amount from him in that. Just being around that as well. Yeah. So I kind of got 2 aspects there. I started to learn a lot, when every other kid was like reading comic books and stuff like that. I never owned one. And I always would buy like Architectural Digest or like, I've always been very aesthetic, like things, a
couple of like Frank Lloyd Wright books.
Yeah. I loved design. I loved, and that was probably, had I been a little more inclined to pursue my academic career, I probably would have gone into architecture or interior design or something. But I'm just not a classroom guy.
Yeah,
so
totally.
Everything made more sense to me learning, just visually and as musicians would do, is learning it by ear, and so. I played in band for all of my, middle and high school career. So I played drums for a long time. Yeah. And it was the same for that. I learned things very much by watching others or just listening.
Not looking at like a piece of paper.
No. I wasn't very good at reading sheet music at all, actually. So I don't know that I could do it now. Yeah. I mean, maybe, but I could probably still play the drums. You know what I mean? So like there's, so I think that there are lots of different aspects of my life that played into where I am now, how I got here, and all of those different things kind of roll into one when it comes to restaurants and venues and the things that we've been able to build.
Absolutely. Now, speaking of building things, in the when the press club was under construction, right? Yep. Who was like? Were you? I'm sure you were a part of like the layout and design of like where the bar is going to be and the stage. Like you were like in the.
I did it all.
You did it all because I was going to say like it's a very like it flows like
when my partner Matt and I decided to do the press club.
Sure.
Matt had already owned Mulligan's, which was the old in the basement of the Wine Oak where Taproot is now. And we had worked together back during that time, back in, I think it was 2004, 2003. I can't remember the year exactly, but we, as Matt and I, kind of recognized a void in the market here of there not really being a bar, per se. Or a place for live music, and this place kind of college kids, community, everybody to be able to gather in one place.
You want a place that you can take a bag of change and throw it on the counter and be like, I want a drink.
Yeah, you can do that, and the bartenders will not like you. I can assure you.
Maybe if it was like
it might be the last drink you might get.
Maybe it was like 1700. You can throw a bag of change and be like, give me a couple of these.
Get a bottle of whiskey and pour them yourself.
Yes, exactly.
So. But so we, when we did that, Matt and I started, and I said I did it by myself, but Matt and I kind of walked through there and worked out those things. And the building itself, it kind of just, I don't want to say it designed itself, but it really did sort of lend the way that it's laid out was kind of natural because of how it was, because of the elevation of the building and how the building is oriented. So we kind of came up with the idea of having the bar elevated like that because of we wanted to have that patio out back, and in order to have the windows that are sort of make the indoor outdoor bar area, that elevation was naturally there. So it made sense to do that. And so that's kind of how we went with it. All of the design elements, though, specifically are mostly my ideas. I have a really good team of people, Garcia and Joe, that work with me on most every project, and they're very good collaborators when it comes to ideas. Yeah. And they usually come out of my head, and then I tell Garcia, and he looks at me crazy. And I'll draw them, and then he's like, oh, okay, I understand. And then we'll call Joe, and Joe's like, oh, yeah, I can make this happen, and we can, you know what I mean? So it's a collaborative effort. For sure. I think that's important in lots of different things. Yes.
Well, you definitely have a keen eye when it comes to that interior design then, because it does flow very well. And, that's just something I think anybody could, notice when they first walk in there, because it just makes sense. Sure. Everything makes sense. Tables, you got the booths, and then you have the bar. Elevated outdoor patio. It really is design wise, I think it's a very functional space, and you can do a lot of stuff with that. Yeah. Well, Nash, you did mention that you wanted to build a stage. You wanted a proper bar in Farmville, because really before that, Farmville didn't really have one per se, and even if they did, it probably got shut down at some point.
It shut down when the Wine Oak was purchased. When they did that, and so they decided that all of that was going to be
exactly
incorporated restaurant spaces.
Yeah. So you had the vision for a place, and I think a bar is a restaurant's beautiful because there's camaraderie between the team members, and it just builds such almost like a family environment. Absolutely. That's another part. I always enjoyed working in restaurants. When you're in it and you're in the trenches and you got 10 tickets on the line, you're just you want to pull your hair out, but then you have somebody right next to you being okay, I'm going to start working on this, and this. You get this, and it flows so well. But so you want a place for people to gather as well, and that's where the bar came in, because again, Farmville really didn't have a good place for that. And then you had the idea of creating a stage as well.
That was always that was sort of in the vision from the beginning.
Sure,
we that was sort of one of the reasons. It's funny. We go way back because I told one of my best friends when we were in high school. I've always been very intrigued by the restaurant business and the entertainment business and all of that. And so I told a buddy of mine, I said, listen, one day, we like I said, we grew up in Farmville, riding around and, looking at everything. Sure. And I told him, I said, listen, one day I'm going to open a restaurant in that Farmville printing building. And then he laughed, literally we were 18 years old probably. And so Steve Wall is a very good family friend of ours who they own the Farmville Herald and now WVHL and Farmville Printing at the time. And I told Steve back then, I said, Steve, listen, if you ever sell the building, please keep me in mind because I'd love to have it for restaurant space. And, just serendipitously, we had, opened the Fish and Pig by that time. I think we had 2 or 3 open at that time in 2018. Mm-hmm. And Steve literally called me and said, "Hey, I remember what you said. Are you still interested in buying it?" This was, it was probably, it was close to I guess almost 30 years later. Wow. You know what I mean?
Incredible.
And so it was very cool. I was very intrigued at that moment, and it really worked out. Yeah. We were looking at some other spaces downtown, which wouldn't have worked as well. So we just we rolled with that, and it really it's worked out well. It's had its challenges, obviously. Yeah. We opened 6 months before COVID hit. So that
was a little bit of a punch in the gut.
Yeah.
How did if you don't mind, I have a lot of questions I want to get to, but how did you handle that, especially as a newly opened business? I mean, I'm sure that was a little difficult.
Well, we always try to be as, fiscally responsible as we possibly can be. Yeah. In our businesses and our business models. So we try to keep a nice, a good amount of money to handle. We have sort of certain metrics that we go by that says, we need to be able to sustain these things if something happens, because things happen all the time. Mm-hmm. And so we were lucky for us. We were able to retain all of our employees through COVID. Obviously, it was through the help of the PPP stuff. Yeah. Rounds 1 and 2, and that really was helpful for us. But we were able to retain, I would say, 90-95% of our staff. Sure. Those those people that stayed here and didn't move elsewhere or whatever else. So it was cool. It was good. We were very lucky, and it kind of brought everybody together during that time, because unlike a lot of places where people couldn't go and go to work, we still kind of had to be there. Yeah. And so it really did draw a lot of us closer together in that sense, and it kind of made it. We had a common goal to keep things open, try to make things a little more normal. Open up the patio a little bit more. There you go. Have things, so that's kind of how we did it. I mean, that was in a nutshell.
Very nice. Well, I want to ask you, what kind of specific ways do you help promote an environment of creativity and kind of support artists at the Press Club? Because, you have, I would say, very fine art on the wall. And I believe it's Amanda Goff, yeah. Goff, yeah. Really, really great, very interesting. And also, you have a stage, and you bring on, you have live performances, you have shows, but you also have showcases of local artists and, open mics to kind of help and support that community. So what specific ways do you try to embrace that, creative side? Because I think you did mention before you always had a keen sense for the entertainment business. Yeah. And so it kind of pairs well together, the business, the restaurant, and the entertainment side.
I've always been, like I said, I said I would have gone into architecture. It would have either been that or actually being a musician, which I didn't obviously have the patience for because, like I said, I wasn't, willing to, I think, put the time in and roll those dice, being a starving artist. Sure, yeah. But yes, it's sort of. Those things are also symbiotic. We're huge supporters of the LCVA, the Virginia Children's Book Festival, and lots of different other art mediums around this area because it's so important. It's such a language that we all share, so intimately, whether we admit it or know it or not. We're so intertwined by those things, and so being able to have a space where different genres of music, different artists can come and either cut their teeth or be, sort of hone the craft that they've gotten good at. It was so important to me. Yeah. It was just very, very important to me. And it's visual art, it's performing art, it's all of those things. It's culinary art. Yeah. There are so many different things and so many ways that building lives in that, sort of in that art space. And so I think it makes it easier sometimes to kind of embrace that. It feels like less of a job. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not hard. It's hard to carry out. It's logistically, it's very time consuming. It's very hard. And then you have to have people that are bought into your vision. Yeah. And so that's also hard.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, I think as far as the space goes, we one of our biggest things was to create a very comfortable, diverse space for everybody here to be able to come and enjoy, not only the things that they like, but things that other people like, and hopefully, get a little taste of different, some different, different styles of music, some different art. Amanda put up all of her stuff last year after we shut down and reopened, and Amanda hung everything in the building, and that's all of her art. She painted our mural in there.
Yeah, I was going to say it's a very stunning mural.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
And so that's the idea behind the space. I wish, honestly, that we had a more, we had a larger, fan base of live music here. I think that's one of our, I think that Farmville and the surrounding areas have a very, the people here tend to be a little bit more, they want reliable, familiar music. So bands that do a lot of covers tend to do better than bands that do a lot of original music.
Yes. Yeah.
And so that part of it's a little, I wish that there were more adventurous souls out people there to come and say, hey, this is really, because we have a lot of really cool, I mean, just take our showcase from last night and having, Shiloh,
Russell Lynch, and there was actually two Russells there, Russell Lynch and Russell Wayne.
And both, I mean, and all of them have been, at Desi, like they're so good.
They are
that. I mean, I encourage anybody. I don't know where that recording lives, or if anybody recorded that last night, but like Harmony Holler and 15 South and all those guys and TJ Peterson, we got a lot of people right now here that are really good creators, and it's one of those things where we had what was her name? Morgan Wade. She played there way before she, went out and kind of got bigger in the country scene. Yeah. And, people were like, oh, I saw her there. You know what I mean? And then we had a few other people, Charles Wesley Godwin, and of course, Oliver Anthony. Yeah, kind of was, came through there. Sort of started out there too.
I heard. I wasn't familiar with that open mic scene. I started going to Richmond open mics because I didn't have the desire to perform like music, but I did have the desire to tell jokes. And I was like, Googled, I was like, closest stand-up comedy open mics. And it was like Richmond, RVA has a huge scene and very supportive. Like you go in there and you feel, like you just feel the camaraderie between all of the comedians. Same thing with the press club open mic. You have all those like artists that are just like, they just have such a quench that the desire that needs to be quenched of performing.
That's the thing that like I remember during that whole Oliver Anthony thing when it was kicking off, and people would say, oh my gosh, I can't believe I didn't come see him. He's been playing open mic. And, I say that, it's like, guys, we have
come
so
to
many
the open
cool
mic. Exactly.
artists that are there. The next one could be the same thing.
Exactly.
And then these people are like begging to get tickets to the show that he did. And, it's like, guys, you have the opportunity right now to come and see these folks, and we're now, WFLO and CJ are absolutely. We're collaboratively doing a series, hopefully that will start to snowball that a little bit.
Yeah. Do you think, because like there's two types of audiences at an open mic, and it's the performers and then the viewers, the watchers of it all. And like I like what you said about like people are more comfortable with familiarity, like having that like, oh, I know that song, it's recognizable. But like what about like people? Like, what can you do to kind of help them cross that barrier of being like, I don't know this guy, but I kind of want to come out. Like, is there anything
Well,
is it just the
if you have that answer,
yeah,
you probably could. I'd probably pay you a pretty decent amount of money if you could give me. Give me that answer. I don't know that. You know what I mean? Sure. I think that we all struggle with reach at some point. No matter what we're doing, it's the same with man. Do you know that we have 2 really, really high level, basketball programs here, and then 3 really because of the women out Longwood as well. We have really, really good basketball being played here, like championship level basketball being played here. But it's not always reflected in the stands. Yeah. And, it's the same. We have really good musicians coming through, but it doesn't always necessarily reflect in people being in there. Yeah. Our weekend crowds are always good because it's, those are more of they're bar crowds. Yeah. It's not. And again,
and also it's the weekend. What's not the
weekend?
like?
You know what I mean? And it's not a listening room.
Yeah.
And I think that's also the other side of it is that we, when you have spaces like that are dedicated, especially venues. We're quote unquote a menu venue because we're running a full service restaurant along with, changing over to live music. So it's not always the easiest transition.
Sure.
And so I think that those things sometimes are reflected in why it doesn't always translate to the customers because some people want to come and have a really quiet dinner, and in the meantime you have a band doing sound check.
Exactly.
So it doesn't lend itself to everything for everybody. Yeah. And so I don't know. That's a great question. I don't know the answer to how you how you engage music.
I kind of asked the most impossible question. I apologize for that. There wasn't a good. And actually, on that note,
it's thought-provoking.
We do have to take a quick commercial break, Nash. Sure. So we're gonna go ahead and hop to that, and we'll be right back.
Craving great food and drinks in downtown Farmville? North Street Press Club is the place to be. Enjoy global grub and local vibes, whether you're dining in or relaxing on our patio. Good times are always on tap. Call us at 434-392-9444 for easy pickup or to discuss your catering needs. Let's make your next event delicious.
So good.
Visit North Street Press Club today, where food, drinks, and fun meet.
And we're back talking to Nash Osborne. And Nash and I were just discussing the open mics and the culture of cultivating a community of musicians and artists and the like. And having it's such a powerful thing to have locally. And also, music, paintings, the best part about art and creativity is it connects to people on a deeper level that it's not even verbal at that point. It's just an intense guts feeling. So, but we were talking about the people that some people come out to open mics because they love to hear live music, and some people want a familiarity almost to music. That's why some people tend not to come out. But I was kind of asking Nash, why do you think is it just the familiarity of not knowing the music, not knowing the artist, and just being oh, who cares?
I think that there are a lot. It's multifaceted. Obviously, I think that there's our open mics don't generally start until about 9 o'clock, which can be a little, that's late for a lot of people. If I tell my wife we're going to go out somewhere at 9 o'clock, she'll look at me like I have 2 heads. So, I think that that's part of it. I think that there's room for that to change as we go forward and look at maybe different days of the week or whatever. But, and I think that we go back to reach. Yeah. It's about how do you reach the people and let them know that this is a fun thing to do, or this is, and then we go to social media and we're everybody's so caught up now in the whatever it is now. Now it's politics. Every other.
To be honest, I was kind of shocked to see Elon Musk do a little Nazi.
I'm not.
I know we don't have to comment on that, but
there's not even enough time.
I know, and usually
in 5 podcasts.
I mentioned that because I'm not a guy that usually gets into politics too much, but even that caught my eye, and I was whoa,
Well, it just goes, and those things go to show you. Like, and that's why I think it is so important to like dig in and foster like your arts community, because those are our distractions.
Yes.
Those are the things that bind us instead of dividing us. And like those things, you know, tend to pull together our commonalities versus our differences.
Yeah, it's like intertwined with our DNA too.
And we have so many opportunities to be different.
Yeah.
Now it seems every day, every time I, you know, I literally have Facebook now because I have my businesses are tied to my personal one.
Sure.
If I didn't have that, I wouldn't have it.
Yeah.
You know, and so, but every time I'm on there, it's just an inundation of political crap and
turmoil
and turmoil and, you know,
division.
Yep. And so I think that within that, all of those things get lost in the algorithm. So we're trying to like insert, hey, come see, you know, whoever, you know, Slate River Band.
Exactly.
You know, and it just like, it's so, those things are, you can't make tournaments of neon signs on Facebook. You know what I mean? And so, or Instagram or whatever. And so we just have to be mindful and cautious about how we absorb all of that stuff. And really we drive a portion of the local economy.
Yeah.
You know
absolutely.
what I mean? And so those people I've seen recently here, there's been a big tax assessment thing done for the county and like everybody's personal property taxes, and you know, and they're, you know, really up in arms about them being, you know, reassessed and them going up. Well, yeah, that sucks because I don't want mine to go up either.
Yeah.
However, if we can support more local businesses and bring more revenue in that way, then, you know, some of that offsets the need for all of that, you know, for those other taxes to increase. So there are lots of different incentives beyond just loving music to you know, look at how this affects our community and how it can you know, build beyond just the love of music.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
So I think that you know, I always encourage people, you know, to come out, and you know, we're always open to feedback. You know, I mean, that's the other thing too. Is like, do you have a favorite band that you love to see? You know, would you know? Do you think that there'd be 100 of your friends that would love to see them too?
Yeah.
You know, always let us know, because we have the ability to get in touch with anybody. I mean, people come to me all the time and ask me for crazy bands, and then, you know, hey, can you get Taylor Swift to come? Absolutely, I can. You $3 million, she's yours. I'll put her on the stage. Yeah. So, you know, but we have access to all of those, to most any artist that we, you know, that people want to see.
If I can put my request in now, I would ask for Jeffrey Lewis.
Jeffrey Lewis. Okay, fine. Sure. So, hey, probably, you know, we have, like I said, that those things are pretty easy for us. It's just really we had a meeting about this yesterday, as a matter of fact, and that was, and the really the, you know, the gist of it was, how do we sell? Is it just entertainment, or is it, you know, what are we selling here? You know, is it an experience? Is it just music? You know what I mean? But it's not. It's all of those things together. And so it's really, really tough when you're kind of the only thing that's providing that type of thing, you know. And Charlie's does a great job of doing some, you know, live music on their smaller stage there, and you know, I enjoy that as well. So, but yeah, man, it's a tough road. So we have to, these things help out, though, I think. Yeah, definitely. We're able to reach people.
That's great. And also, like, the fact of, like, social media, it's a lot easier to see a very enticing political debate going on, and then comment something about it and be like, this is dumb. But it takes, like, effort to, like, see, oh, hey, there's an open mic tonight. And then you start up your car, you drive to a couple of stop signs, you park, and then you go in. But, like, I mean, it's just a very beautiful and impactful experience. I did want to touch on your food as well, because, like, again, with, like, what you do at Press Club, North Street Press Club, there's, like, so many factors going on. Like, even, like, bartending, like, making drinks is such a talent, and you know, just like a very, just a beautiful thing. But I want to talk about your food. how do you come up with like different ideas for food? Do you kind of
the original menu?
Yeah.
We all kind of collectively wrote it together. I mean, it was honestly, we really had no real aspirations of becoming like really, our idea was like kicked up bar food, really, because we knew what we were going to do. We knew where our biggest area of sales were going to be, and that was going to be like, later crowd, bar crowd, whatever. So we wanted some food that would go along with that. Well, then as we started brainstorming a little bit more, we started adding in a little bit more, diversity. At the time, there really wasn't a lot. There weren't a lot of variety of cuisine offered in Farmville. And lucky for us now, there are becoming more and more, flavors of India and all the, different stuff coming, which I love.
I go there way too often.
I know, me too. I love Indian food. So
last time I went there, I had the weirdest thing happen. You know how they have like the cutout in the wall, like when you're paying, there's to the kitchen, right? Like the old.
I usually way fast most of the time.
Oh, gotcha. Hey, way fast, not bad. But like there's a cutout in the wall. Like I imagine old diners have it, where the cook kind of puts his elbow on there. Yeah. Is like 2 eggs. Okay, got you.
Yeah. Anyways, with a cigarette hanging out.
Exactly. And just like there's ash getting on your eggs, and you're like, no, I'm going to eat that. Yeah. Anyways, like I'm there. I paid for my food, and I saw a cook, and he like made eye contact with me, and I was like, oh, because you never have that experience. You never like see the guy who made your food, and he looks at me, and he does the traditional. He just like did his hands together like this, and then bowed.
Thank you. Yeah.
I don't know if I hope it's appropriate, but I did the same back to him. Sure. But in that moment, I was like, "This is so beautiful." I'm getting treated like royalty.
Yeah. That's like a genuine appreciation.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? And I think that was it
was such a connection.
Traveling and stuff. Yeah. I see that. When we go different places in the world or wherever, it's like, man, there are like human connection. Just it creates that, right? Mm-hmm. It's genuine appreciation for you being there. Yeah. For them, you know what I mean? And vice versa. And, so to go back to the original question, we were, we kind of encompass a bunch of different cuisines. Yeah. Really surface level though, you know what I mean? We weren't diving into like, obscure Thai food.
Yeah.
Because all of our cooks had to be able to carry that out.
Exactly.
So we were like pretty basic. Okay.
And also how many adventurous people are looking at the menu being like, I want to try this.
Right. Exactly. So we have, Ralph D'Amano's now, he is our chef now. Mm-hmm. And he's doing a lot of really cool creative stuff. We have a full service catering program going on at North Street now.
Wow.
That's going to be a big, we'll have a lot of different diverse offerings. We obviously do a ton of catering through Fish and Pig.
Yeah.
And that's so now here we're able to offer a little different level of catering, a little the food offerings are going to be a little bit more diverse, and so I think that's going to be cool. And the food is, I'll tell you, I can take very little credit for it. I'm not a very good cook. I can cook okay. Yeah. But like it's not my wheelhouse. Yeah. And so I give all the credit to those guys that are in the kitchen.
And again, they are making arts every day, day in, day out.
No doubt about it. Beautiful. And they're passionate about it. You know what I mean? We have a great kitchen staff there. We have a great staff in general. Mm-hmm.
Let me ask you, I should probably know this, so I apologize. Do you guys have like a breakfast menu at all, or serve any sort of breakfast, or is it like a brunch?
Just brunch on Sunday. Brunch.
Yep. And is that like eggs as well, or is that kind of like a little?
Yeah, we do. We have a full brunch menu. Sure. I would recite them to you, but I have. I don't have it in my head. So,
no worries.
But yeah, we do some pretty creative brunch stuff. With some different bowls and some different omelets, and so we do our brunches 10 to 2 on Sundays.
Very nice. Very nice. So, our food connects people, and similar to like how music connects people.
Right.
Like, it's a sense of like when you sit down with somebody or like anybody over a food, it's connection. It's like almost like a family. It's kind of like that kind of similar eating together. Yeah. It's a very like personal thing. You wouldn't do that with somebody like on a train, just like eat together. But like your girlfriend, like that, it just feels right. Well, maybe, why not?
Maybe, you know what I mean? I think that maybe that those are, I don't know though. I think that those are, I think it's it's both and, right?
Yeah.
Because you may do that. And I mean, personally, that it's one of my favorite things to do. It's like when I'm traveling, especially if I'm by myself, it's to just go to random places and sit at the bar and meet people and eat. And like, so I do like that. I really enjoy it.
Yeah, exactly.
Because there's so many opportunities for you to connect with people no matter where you are, no matter what's going on. You can find commonalities. Hell, you can find that you know some of the same people. It happens all the time to me. Yeah. So like there's that camaraderie of preparing that food as well as serving that food as well as eating that food. So like
it's all tied in a beautiful package.
It is. I tell people all the time. I said, you know, once you're in the restaurant business, it's kind of like a cult. I mean, it's hard to get away from. You know what I mean? No matter how hard you try, you find yourself sort of gravitating back to that because it's fun. Yeah, it's a good time. You know, sometimes you can be at work and it's really hard and it sucks and it's not a good time. Yeah. But a lot of times in the restaurant business, it's hard, but it's also fun at the same time. Yeah. You know what I mean? So we do have a good time, and I think it's you know, I've told this to people over and over again. I chose this career, or it chose me. I don't know which one it was, but I did it with very intentionally and very much with the mindset that I wanted to be doing something that I really like to do all the time. Yeah. In whatever aspect that is, whether it's bussing tables or taking out trash or, you know, I'm not going to say cook because that would be a disaster, but bartending or whatever. So, but well, I mean, it's just it's a love, it's a passion,
and even the atmosphere is just like, I mean, you can go into a restaurant, eat alone. I did this once at a Huddle House, or no, it was a Waffle House, in Georgia, and I was I just like went in, and it was like midnight, and it was like not the greatest neighborhood, but I was like, I'm hungry, I didn't eat, I drove like 7 hours here, I'm gonna just go in, and I just like watched like a whole scene happen in front of me. Sure. It was just beautiful of like people coming in, and there was like a table of teenagers that are like doing something weird, and you know, there's just like another guy that's like me, and I'm like, is that me in the future? Like just like sitting alone, just like,
or maybe exactly,
whatever. It's just like such a fascinating, like, and that's something that you don't get at home, you know, eating, because like what, you're just going to sit in front of the TV and that's it. You're just eating. It's just pleasure in both ways, eyes and mouth. You're just eating food.
Well, I think that I think
watching
that's
something.
Sort of like where we've been directed. Yeah, like, you know what I mean? It's like sort of the TV tray kind of thing where you know, it's that we lose that like that camaraderie or that you know, just that opportunity to connect with people because we're all just sitting around watching TV, eating, and you know, that was one of the reasons that we only put like 4 TVs in the whole place.
It's not like, you know it's not like others. Like I wouldn't consider you guys a sports bar.
No, exactly. We didn't want it to be because, you know, we wanted focus to be music and you know, food and people, you know, being able to enjoy that stuff without, you know, just staring at the TV. So,
exactly. And you did a great, amazing job at that. I got to ask you. These food trucks, I'm seeing them everywhere. Yeah. I'm walking down the street. There's a food truck passing me. Yeah. Press Club, the Mexican food truck, I cannot think of the name of it, but they serve Mexican food. But like a lot
like
of...
a taco truck?
Taco truck, yeah. And just like, I feel like in like 2018, 2019... like Farmville, there was one food truck, my father, again, like with his great ideas. And another business. I love my dad, and I supported each one of his food ventures. But after the restaurant closed, Rosaldi's, he was like, I'm going to get a food truck. That's it. Yeah. Did it, and then ended up selling it like a year later.
You know, the food truck community is really, I mean, and we've really kind of learned this as we've only been operating our food trailers for about, I would say 4 or 5 months now. Yeah. And we've really learned, that's probably about 6 months, but we've really learned that those things need to be operational like 5 days a week in order for you to
make any
profitable.
Yeah.
And so that becomes a job unto itself. Like we have, we're doing a lot now. One of our food trailers goes down to Microsoft down in Mecklenburg. I think 5 days a week or 6 days a week now. And then the other one is just around wherever it's needed. We do a lot of different things in the community or, whatever.
Events, Heart of Virginia.
Yep. Yeah. And so, those are, food trucks kind of became like you said, like
it just popped off literally. One day it's just like I'm seeing food trucks everywhere. I'm like almost getting run over by food trucks, and I'm like, what happened?
I remember going to we would go to Austin, Texas, from time to time back in this was probably like in 16 and 17, maybe 18, and they had tons of like food truck lots where they would like food truck courts. And and I think in Texas and California and stuff, those things were they've been around for a long time. The concept of that. So it just kind of came. It popped up here pretty quick. I know Ernest Tony had his out for a while, and then there was a couple other folks that have done them. But again, like I said, man, it's not a hobby, and a lot of people look at the restaurant business. If I get something said to me more than anything else, it's, I want to open up a restaurant in my spare time.
Yeah, it's a full,
and I can only laugh at that point. I say, well,
you break the news to them.
If I don't want to break anybody down. That is not my. I try to.
It could charge somebody up though. I mean,
but I do try to give them a little bit of like an idea about how much work goes into just daily operations, and that's in a single brick and mortar, and you add in food trucks and entertainment and all the other stuff. So but yeah, man,
Wow. Yeah. I do have another, and I'm kind of rounding down. We're getting close to the end of the show. We have 12 minutes left, but I do want to ask you, do you have any projects in the work or new plans for the press club? I know you guys recently opened up a new Fish and Pig location, which is very exciting.
We will open actually soon.
Okay.
We haven't opened yet.
Sure.
We will, I think the plan is to hopefully open this weekend.
Yeah.
We're just waiting on them. Few last approvals from the county, and we'll be ready to rock and roll. We do have the Fox and Lamb that's coming downtown. That is it's going to be wood fired pizza downstairs. They have their trailer right now in the Fish and Pig parking lot. The pizza's delicious. And can't wait for Mayor's and Just to get that rolling downtown. That should be a couple weeks. And then upstairs connected to it is going to be the Fox Social Club, which is our speakeasy. And we do still have some memberships available to buy. If you go and check out our social media page, the Fox and Lamb, you can find those there. And I encourage you to do so because we're only doing 100 of them. There's going to be
very exclusive.
Limited access. There's a lot of really cool perks that go along with that. So that's outside of that. Press club wise, we
do you see a second location?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
You're still young, Nash.
I don't know. I mean,
still got soul. I can see it in your eyes.
I feel like I feel young sometimes, and then I feel completely old sometimes. So it's hopefully my days of feeling 22 and my days of feeling 72 balance out into my actual 46-year-old age, and hopefully more of the 22 days. But so I mean, I don't know. I don't know is the answer. We're always all the partners. We're always talking about it. We're obviously never turn down opportunities to look at different things. But again, it's just a lot. It's a lot to manage, and we I think focus needs to always stay on the things that you have currently and make sure that they are the best that they can be. So that's focus right now. Yeah.
Wow. Well, Nash, this has been really, really great. Do you have any things that you want to mention? I know you mentioned the Fox and Lamb Club. But like any other like kind of things like that?
No, I mean, we've got a lot of really cool new
great
stuff
events
with the Fish and Pig. So we will have our Innsbrook location open, like I said, hopefully this weekend.
Sure.
Which will be our number 4 location, and then Daleville location, which is just outside of Roanoke, it's basically kind of becoming a little suburb of Roanoke. They're going to be they should be opening I would say mid-spring, maybe mid to late spring. That's under construction. That's a new build, so that's really exciting for us. And then we have Clarksville, which will actually break ground on the renovation project down there. I'm hoping in about a month after we get all of our permits and approvals and all the plans submitted. So yeah, man, we have a lot of really cool, fun stuff coming up. We've got a lot of interests in Fish and Pig, in different areas, and we field a lot of those often. We always take them seriously and go check out where people are asking us to come or if they want to open one, and so we do that too. That's available as well. I mean, people can get into contact with us, and we're always looking for new proprietors.
Exactly. I think another key thing to mention is you're a very approachable guy. And like, people like what you mentioned about the bands. Like, if there's a band that you want, just don't just keep that within you. Let people know. Just get the word out there.
No, man, I enjoy it. That's the my wife. She'll tell you. I mean, she knows that I'm like so driven by my social, my need for social interaction, and it's it's not just with the people I know, but I love interacting with people that I don't know. Because I find people's just the human condition so entertaining and so important, to know people's, the way things, kind of make them tick, and, what drives them and things like that. So it's very interesting. It's a fun business to be in. And, I'm happy to do it.
Any job openings or?
They're always job openings.
Okay.
There are always job openings. We're always looking for people to come sort of move it forward. I mean, that's always the idea, is that, you get people in with similar, interests,
goals,
and say, hey, look, how do we move
similar
this
love
forward?
and passion?
The one thing that I've learned in leadership is that I don't know it. And I don't know it all.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And so having people around me that are able to do the things that I'm not is so important. I mean, it's like I told somebody the other day, I've never formulated an Excel spreadsheet. I don't know how to do it. I don't know how, literally. But I don't have to, because I'm going to have somebody around that's going to be able to do that. Because I can't, you know what I mean? Recognizing your weaknesses and your faults, and SWOT analyzing everything is so important. I mean, it's just like I said, recognizing strengths and weaknesses and all of the things that you have to go along with are so important to be successful. And that's in anything. It's not just in this business. So.
We do have 6 minutes left. I'm going to go ahead and open up the phone lines real fast. So if you want to call in, if you have a question for Nash Osborne, or if you just want to chat with him on the air, you can do so. 434-394-0924. Once again, that phone number is 434-394-0924. Call that number and you'll be on the air with me and Nash. But I did want to mention, WFLO is very excited about partnering. Can I speak? Okay, there we go. With you guys on the open mic, though, because that's really just a very exciting experience, and us being able to help kind of support that goal, because I think we have similar goals for just making that just a very supportive community, and just kind of helping each other out, because when you're in that with you're bringing a guitar each week to a place and you're playing, you need that kind of supportive group to kind of help you.
You get to see people that are really talented.
Exactly.
And people are super talented that you don't even know, and you may find yourself really connecting with some other cool musicians.
Do you go and try to support musicians after they get off stage? Do you kind of
for sure? I was talking a
word of encouragement
last night. I mean, for a while. But I know a lot of those guys so well. So it's especially here locally. I mean, I support music way more than I should, probably because I go to tons of concerts and festivals and, whatever. I mean, I've got a few friends in the industry that help facilitate those things.
Sure.
And so that's cool. You know what I mean? And I love music in any capacity. I don't know of any real genres that I don't like. So.
Yeah. I mentioned Modest Mouse one time in conversation. You were like, that guy's a jerk. And I was like, oh.
But, I still love Modest Mouse.
Of course. Who doesn't love Modest Mouse? Yeah, that's absolutely right.
But that's a whole nother hour podcast. We can deep dive into music. I mean, that's absolutely. It's the passion of my life. So
it does seem like we have a caller. I'm going to go ahead and jump to the phone lines. Caller, you're on the air.
Hey, Noah, Danny Husky here. Just real quick before y'all get off the air, the Speakeasy. The upstairs event at the Fox and Lamb. Mm-hmm. Whose idea was it? How'd you come upon that? That's bold for Farmville, especially Main Street Farmville.
We just it was a space that was up there that we didn't quite know what to do with at first. And then we decided that it would be a good place for, I think that that sometimes that there's a need for just a sort of a quieter a scene, you know what I mean? More of a craft cocktail, kind of a loungy type scene, and we just felt like it fit well, Okay. And we were really excited as we started to kind of hash it out and how it would look, because it took us a little while to figure out what was going to happen and how it was going to work. But yeah, we're that was kind of how that was born.
Okay, interesting. Just curious. Thanks a lot.
Sure.
Okay. Thank you for calling. Bye. All right. It's Danny Husky calling in, and it does. Yeah. Like a little speakeasy is so important in town. I think that does add just a nice little charm and just a nice little uniqueness to Farmville. I think Farmville, I will say, the more the more years that pass, the more unique and the niches and things. This town is growing quite nicely, I will say.
Right.
Because at first, I was like, oh, there's nothing to do in Farmville.
Yeah.
And you start to, these niches start to appear, and also Farmville now as well, like the event community calendar, huge, pulling, not to promote the calendar, but
we should. Those are the things that we should absolutely do, because that's how we go back to reach.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And those are the things, I think that's super important in things like this, is that we do give them the opportunity. How do we know what's going on?
Yeah, exactly.
You should promote Farmville Now all the time.
Yeah.
Everything that you do, because that's really an important part, especially if we can get others to buy in to adding their events.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because we want that to be a robust, platform versus just a, singularly,
just like a couple of places, but missing some. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. This is pulling from 50 local different websites. So from even out of town a little bit, Appomattox, but mostly in Farmville.
Sure.
And the more events, I think even the Mystic Raven, which is such a unique little shop that just opened up, which I'm very thankful that Farmville was accepting to that. I saw one comment on Facebook of somebody being like, oh, what the heckity heck? And I'm like, go to heck now.
You can't pay attention to all of it.
Of course not. But it is beautiful that shop was able to open, and they're doing quite well.
Yeah.
But I was talking to Christy in there, and she did mention that they're going to be throwing little events from time to time. So that's very, very exciting as well. So, definitely check out Farmville Now. And we did hit the 5 o'clock hour, so we do have to go. Nash, any closing words that you'd like to say? Or impart some advice?
We're always very thankful for our community here and for everybody, supporting us in every endeavor that we try to do. And again, just very thankful for this community here.
All right. Thank you, Nash, for coming in. This has been the Farmville Spotlight. Thanks for tuning in, and don't go anywhere. John Staten up with you next with a live drive at 5, so stay tuned for that.